You remember the beginning. It was probably the most intense, electric, and connected experience of your life. It felt like he read your mind, that every touch was specifically tailored for your body, that the chemistry was out of this world. You thought, I've never met anyone who desired me this much. It was addictive. It was overwhelming, and without you even realizing it, it was at that exact moment, between the sheets, that the trap clamped shut the hardest. But then, something changed. Maybe it was gradual, maybe it was sudden. That consuming passion turned into something strange. Either the sex became mechanical, cold, a performance where you felt more like a prop than a beloved partner, or worse, it became a weapon, something he gave to you and took away to control your mood, your security, and your self-worth. Today, or in the past, you find yourself lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling incredibly alone. Even with him sleeping right next to you, you ask yourself, what did I do wrong? Why am I not attractive to him anymore? Why does he prefer his phone, his work, or anything else over me? The truth I'm going to tell you today is harsh, but it is the key to your freedom. What you experienced was not your failure. A narcissistic person's sexuality does not operate on the same rules as an empathic person's sexuality. For you, sex is connection, vulnerability, energy exchange, and love. For the narcissist, sex is just another source of supply. It's a transaction. It's a stage. When we talk about fetishes, most people think of whips, costumes, or body parts. But the narcissist has much darker, more psychological fetishes. They have fetishes for power dynamics. Today, we're going to dive deep into the distorted psyche of these individuals to uncover the 3 sexual fetishes every narcissist has. By understanding this, you'll realize that the coldness, the betrayal, or the distancing was never about you not being enough. It was, and always has been, about his pathological need to feel superior. My name is Lauren Mitchell. My purpose with this channel is to show you that the problem was never you, and more importantly, that you are not alone. Let's start with the first fetish, which is the foundation of all sexual interaction with a narcissist, even in the love-bombing phase. I call this fetish the human mirror. The narcissist does not make love to you. He has sex through you to validate himself. Think about the times you were together. Even in moments of the greatest physical intensity, there was something missing. Maybe you noticed that he rarely maintained deep, sustained eye contact, that look that says, I see you, I love you. If there was eye contact, it was a predatory, intense stare that seemed to pierce through you, or it was a checking look. He was looking to see how you were reacting to his performance. The fetish here is the validation of his own ego. You, in this scenario, are reduced to a high-definition mirror. His pleasure doesn't come from your genuine satisfaction as a human being, but from the fact that he is the one causing that satisfaction. If you scream, if you writhe, if you compliment him, that is fuel for him. He thinks, look how powerful I am. Look how I dominate this body. Look how I am the best she's ever had. This is why sex with a narcissist can often feel incredibly technical or performative. He may be very good in the acrobatic sense of the word, knowing exactly where to touch, but the heart of the experience is empty. It's like watching an actor deliver a perfect monologue on an empty stage. And when the idealization phase ends, this human mirror fetish becomes darker. He begins to treat you, literally, like an object. He might start requesting things you are uncomfortable doing, not because he has an uncontrollable desire for that specific act, but because he wants to test the limits of the object's submission. He wants to know if the mirror will continue to reflect what he wants, even if it has to break to do so. You may have felt this firsthand. The sensation of being used, that post-sex feeling where, instead of feeling cherished and loved, you feel drained, as if something has been stolen from within you. He rolls over and sleeps, or immediately grabs his phone, and you are left there, with the physical sensation of the act, but an emotional abyss in your chest. This happens because, for the narcissist's fetish, the act is over. The mirror has served its function. The supply has been extracted. There is no need for aftercare, cuddling, or conversation, because you don't converse with the toaster after it's made the bread. This objectification behavior serves to maintain emotional distance. Real intimacy requires vulnerability, and vulnerability is the narcissist's greatest fear. By turning you into an object, a body, a set of parts, a provider of sexual services, He ensures he can get the physical relief and ego validation without ever having to expose his true, fragile self. He stays in control, protected behind the wall of objectification, while you wear yourself out trying to find his soul through his body. If the first fetish is about using you as a mirror, the second fetish is about ensuring you never feel secure enough to see reality. This is the ghost triangulation fetish. The narcissist has a compulsive need to manufacture competition. He needs to feel like a prize, something so valuable that multiple people would be willing to fight for him. And he brings this toxic dynamic into the bedroom, into the moment that should be the most exclusive between a couple. Sexual. Triangulation can happen in obvious or extremely subtle ways. The obvious way is the mention of other women, or past partners. He might innocently comment on what an ex-girlfriend did in bed, or how she liked something you don't do. "Oh, my ex loved it when I did this." Or, "I had a girlfriend who was really open to that thing." This is not a conversation about preferences. This is a calculated insertion of a third element into your bed. Suddenly, it's not just the two of you anymore. Now, there's you, him, and the ghost of the idealized ex-girlfriend. He creates an imaginary standard that you will never be able to reach, because that standard isn't real. It's a manipulation tool. Another facet of this fetish is the use of pornography or looking at other people. We are not talking about casual consumption here, but consumption that is done so you notice. He will brazenly stare at other women on the street while holding your hand. He will leave his computer history open. He will follow provocative profiles on social media and like photos right in front of you. Why does he do this? His fetish is seeing your insecurity. For the narcissist, seeing you jealous, seeing you trying to compete with an image on a screen or a memory from the past is the ultimate proof of his power. If you are insecure, you are working harder. You try harder in bed. You pay more attention to your appearance. You submit more, all in a desperate attempt to win him back, to be the chosen one. Again, it's a cruel dynamic. He makes you feel like you are inadequate, that you lack spice, that you are too conservative or boring. You begin to internalize that the problem is your performance or your body. You think, if I were skinnier, or if I agreed to do what he wants, he wouldn't look at others. But the truth is, the ghost in the bed is necessary for him. If it's just you and him, there is the risk of boredom for him, or real intimacy, which terrifies him. By introducing the third element, he keeps you in a constant state of anxiety, and he interprets this anxiety as adoration. He gets off on the idea of being desired by many, even if those many only exist in his head or on a phone screen. And he is even more excited to see you, a real woman in the flesh, belittling yourself to try and compete with fantasies. The fetish here is not sex with others. It's the triumph of seeing you crumble at the possibility of being replaced. We now come to the most devastating fetish, the one that usually emerges when the relationship is already consolidated and the victim is emotionally dependent. This is the most counterintuitive, yet the most common angle in long-term relationships with narcissists. The fetish is not for sex. The fetish is for the deprivation of sex. Many victims report that, after the initial fireworks phase, the narcissist simply shuts down. He becomes cold, distant, asexual. He refuses your advances. He turns his back. He constantly makes excuses. A headache, stress at work, tiredness, or the classic, "You're pressuring me too much." You might think he has lost his sexual desire, but curiously, he often continues to masturbate, consume pornography, or even seek out extramarital affairs. His desire exists, but he actively chooses not to direct it toward you. Why? Because denying sex is the ultimate form of control. The fetish here is the power to reject. Remember, the narcissist feeds on emotional reactions. In the beginning, he fed on your passion and your desire. Now, he has discovered an even more potent source of supply: your pleading, your pain, and your confusion. Seeing you doubt yourself, seeing you cry, seeing you ask, "What's wrong with me?" Seeing you get dressed up and be ignored, this gives him a sense of divine omnipotence. He holds the key to your self-esteem, and he has the power to lock the door. He decides whether you feel desirable or like trash, and he chooses to make you feel like trash because it keeps you weak, submissive, and easy to control. This is often accompanied by gaslighting. If you complain about the lack of intimacy, he says, "That's all you ever think about. You're a nymphomaniac. You don't respect my space. How can I desire you if all you do is fight with me? He flips the blame. He transforms your human, healthy, and legitimate need for physical connection into a flaw, into something dirty or too needy. This deprivation creates a cycle of intermittent reinforcement. Once in a while, very rarely, he will give you crumbs. A night where everything seems to go back to normal. And you, starved for affection, cling to it with all your might, thinking things have gotten better. This renewed hope is what keeps you trapped in the abuse cycle for months or years more. But the pattern always returns to coldness. The narcissist feels a sadistic pleasure in being the gatekeeper of intimacy. He uses the withholding of affection and sex as punishment for any behavior of yours that he disapproves of, or simply because he can. It is the final objectification. You are not even useful for his pleasure anymore. Now, you serve as a target for his rejection. He reaffirms his worth by rejecting yours. I am so superior that I can afford to reject you. Now that we have unveiled these three fetishes, the human mirror, the ghost, triangulation, and the pleasure of denial, the pieces of the puzzle begin to fit together. That feeling of confusion you carried for so long was not unfounded. You were trying to decipher pathological behavior using the logic of healthy love, and that is impossible. You need to understand this deeply. To free yourself, his rejection, his coldness, his betrayal, or the way he used you. None of it is a reflection of your worth, your beauty, or your sensuality. You were an instrument in his relentless pursuit of internal regulation. He used sex to feel alive, to feel powerful, to feel in control. When he objectified you, it was about his insecurity. When he compared you to others, it was about his emptiness. When he denied you touch, it was about his cruelty. You didn't lose your attractiveness. You were dealing with someone emotionally incapable of sustaining a real connection. His fetish is power, and true love is the antithesis of power, because love demands surrender. The first step to reclaiming your power is to take the focus off him. Stop trying to be attractive to someone who is blind to your soul. Stop trying to seduce a wall. Reclaim your sexual energy, your self-esteem, and your self-love, and bring them back inside yourself. You are whole, you are desirable, and you deserve a touch that is not manipulation, but an encounter. Feel free to leave your account, your vent, or even a suggestion for a topic for the next video in the comments below. Access my ebook now through the link in the description. Click on the suggested video on the screen to continue with me, and remember, you are light. Never forget to shine.